Yes. Okay, so next problem. Cosine squared x equals 1. And so the problem gives you this, and they're asking then, is x equals 7 pi over 6 a solution for that problem? And so it's not as straightforward, because you can't just, well, you could substitute 7 pi over 6, figure out what its cosine is, radical 3 over 2, and then square it. But I think it's a little easier to do the following. And I guess I could do it both ways. You could do the following. Since they're asking it this way, I'm going to take this, I'm going to substitute the angle in there, and we're going to figure out what the cosine of 7 pi over 6 is. 7 pi over 6 is this guy, and so I get negative radical 3 over 2. So the cosine squared of 7 pi over 6, and I should put a question mark there because that's not a true statement. Well, we don't know yet. I guess we're questioning it, right? 7 pi over 6 is equal to negative square root of 3 over 2. That's actually not true. I just want to do that. So the cosine of 7 pi over 6 is negative radical 3 over 2. From there, we need to square that value. So for cosine squared 7 pi over 6, that's equal to the square of negative radical 3 over 2. And so then the square of cosine 7 pi over 6 is negative times negative is positive, radical 3 times radical 3 is 3, and 2 times 2 is 4. So that is actually equal to 3/4. And so no, not a solution. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to pretend that they did not give us this value. Let's just go ahead and solve this equation as if we didn't have that information. So I'm going to rewrite cosine squared x equals 1. I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. And now I can factor this and get independent factors. And this is the difference of two squares. So I really get cosine x plus 1 times cosine x minus 1 is equal to 0. And I'm really just going to solve it. And if it comes out that 7 pi over 6 is one of my solutions, then my answer to the question is yes, it is. So then, since they're independent factors, I can set these separately equal to 0 and determine what the angles are that will make this statement true and this statement true. And so I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. Cosine x equals negative 1. And this one is cosine x. Add 1 to both sides. I'll get 1. Where's cosine equal to negative 1? Well, let's draw this guy so we can use different colors. Cosine of some angle equal to negative 1 is this guy. So that's pi, or 3 pi, or 5 pi, or 7 pi, or whatever. Not 7 pi over 6. And then cosine of x is equal to 1 when my angle is 0 degrees, or 0 radians. And so no, again, we confirmed that 7 pi over 6 is not a solution to that equation. Okay, so no, not a solution.